Gerry Wood, it seems that you're going to be safely returned to the Parliament. Do you feel vindicated over your actions over the past term of the Labor government?
Well, I haven't always looked at it that way. I think I wouldn't count all my chickens until they're hatched in this case, because the voting's not finished yet. I'm very pleased that we have a lead, and I think it's great that it looks like Nelson will be independent. I think people understand the reasons why I made an agreement with Paul Henderson. The voters in my electorate are pretty intelligent, and they knew I did it for the right reasons.
It seems there has been a swing against you, though. Do you think that is why?
Well, as I said recently on radio, everything but the kitchen sink has been thrown at me. There's been a lot of personal attacks against me, which have been quite upsetting. So, you know, some of that rubs off, and people perhaps have decided for a change. But you know, I think we've weathered a very big storm. It's been a very difficult time the last 3 years. I had a lot of responsibility, had to work very hard, which I don't mind doing. But I think that what I've done was the responsible thing for the Territory.
Your year as Kingmaker is coming to an end. Do you have any regrets about your actions?
I have no regrets, and I've never regarded myself as Kingmaker. I regarded myself as an independent who was thrown into a position that I wasn't expecting. I took that position seriously, and what I did was use my power very carefully, because power, if misused, is not the right thing to do. So I tried to do what I thought was best for the Territory. I didn't try at any way to abuse that power. I got some benefits to the rural community, not just my electorate, and I got some benefits for the Territory as a whole, and the way also that government was being run through the Council of Territory Cooperation and through changes to the way Parliament was run.
We're seeing some substantial swings towards the country Liberals in a number of seats, including Daly and Arafura. Does that surprise you?
Not entirely. I think in the case of Daly has been held by the country Liberals. Tim Baldwin, I think, held it for 3 terms. It's one of those seats, if you go back in history, it doesn't necessarily stay with Labor or with the CLP. So I do also think, because my wife has family in that area, that I don't think Rob Knight was always listening to what people were saying, and perhaps, you know, being a minister, and this is one of the problems with a small government, it may have distracted him from, you know, keeping in touch with some of the people that he needed to vote for him.
What about the seat of Arafura with Marion Scrimgeour retiring?
Well, you had a very strong character there in Marion Scrimgeour. She certainly was a feisty person, but who worked very hard for electorate. You also got to remember that the first person that represented that seat was Hyacinth Tungatulum, who was a country Liberal. So I'm not always sure that these seats change because of party politics. Perhaps they change more so because of personalities, especially, I think, some of our Indigenous seats. So look, I'm not surprised, because these things have happened before.
What does it mean for you, Gerry Wood, if the country Liberals do win government? Your relationship with the country Liberals, and especially Terry Mills, has been fairly fractured since your decision to back the Labor government. You know, how do you think you'll be able to work with them?
Well, I didn't back the Labor government. I specifically said, when I made my speech about what I would do 3 years ago, was that I would have an agreement with the Chief Minister. It was not with the ALP, and was to allow the Chief Minister to continue to run a government that was elected. And that's what I did. And I think it's not correct that I sort of backed the Labor Party as such. I've forgotten the first part of your question there, sorry.
Well, how will you work together, I guess, given the fractured relationship you've got with the country Liberals?
I've got to be big enough and grown up enough. If the CLP becomes the government, I will be a crossbencher, as I have been for most of the time while I've been in Parliament, which means sometimes I'll oppose things, sometimes I'll support things. That's the benefit of being a crossbencher. But what I'll do is try and represent my rural electorate as best I can, and fight for more improvements in the rural area.
Gerry Wood, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Danielle.